Friday, July 4th. This is the Lion Channel. I'm John, day 64 of my manifesting journey. I'm back at home, back in the lion's den, so to speak. It was a great 2 days, probably the best family vacation that I've been a part of. And it's not a coincidence that that happened on the heels of what I've been doing, which is not only making these videos for 64 days now straight, but falling asleep in the wish fulfilled for 3 months. Okay. I started on April 3rd. Now I'm here on July 4th. My whole world has completely changed. And I've got 4 people who are consistently posting underneath, being non-negotiable, committing to falling asleep in the wish fulfilled, and now they're starting to post how their lives are changing. All right. I said yesterday in yesterday's video, that was 9:30 at night, by the way. I was sitting out on the balcony last night and I watched it back today. I was like, wow, that's pretty dark, but it was 9:30 at night. But that's what being non-negotiable is. All right. Not every day is going to go perfect. Although yesterday was amazing. Okay. Yesterday was so great, but that was the first opportunity I had to make a video. And it's like, I didn't even have one of those, questions come in. Like that old person doesn't even really try to come in anymore. And that's what I thought about today. I was like, there was never even a question of whether or not I was going to make that video. And, when you're thinking about who you are, okay, when life gets a little tough and things aren't going perfectly, if you're not falling asleep in the wish fulfilled and you haven't been doing it consistently and you are just starting to become non-negotiable, like a few of you on here, Kate, Marley, Brent, Mindy, and you're just starting to become non-negotiable, that is something that, everyone needs to be aware of, okay, is that person in my first couple months, that person was always there, always trying to convince me that this wasn't important, or something else on my non-negotiable list wasn't important, or when I'm trying to complete a 72-hour fast, that, those questions start to come in and say, maybe, why are you even doing this? Why are you even doing this? Like, what's the point of all this? And that person's going to be there for the first probably couple months. All right. But now I'm starting to realize he's not even really there anymore. I feel like I've kind of like shut him out and just moved on. All right. I'm walking around. When I'm walking around so confident. Okay. In these situations where before I was small, now I'm big. My energy is big. Okay. Just like, I talked about in the last couple days. We got up there. The room wasn't to our liking. All right. I was kind of caught up in like, I knew that wasn't going to fly with me, with the person I am for the next 2 days. And as soon as my wife posed that question, do you want to try and get an upgrade? Boom. Absolutely. I want to get an upgrade. The person who I was before, you know what? It's $200. I'm not sure if that's worth it. Yeah, we go back and forth. We still got to, we already unpacked. Now we got to pack. And then I would be uncomfortable for 2 days. All right. Like I said, my wife and I, we just had our 10-year anniversary. All right. The last time we went to a resort or went on vacation and walked into a room that wasn't to our liking, that we actually upgraded, was on our honeymoon 10 years ago. Okay, so for 10 years, we've just accepted what we were given. Okay, if we book a vacation, we walk into a room, it's not to our liking, we figure out a way to make it work. And most of the time, making that work would be complaining. about it, wishing that, things were different. Okay. But that's not who we are now. That's not who I am now. Okay. Yesterday, another manifestation. We booked a cabana for the outdoor water park, and my wife was on the phone trying to book a cabana. I was like, I was doing something else, and I'm like, I can't make that decision right now. You got to wait. So my wife hung up the phone. She was going to book it. She hung up the phone and then had to call back when I was ready. She called back. A guy wound up making the mistake, okay, booking us an indoor cabana instead of an outdoor cabana. So when we got there to the outdoor water park and we were there and we were checking in, they said, we can't find your cabana. Oh, here it is. It's booked at the indoor water park. My wife said, well, that's not right. I told him outdoor water park. And they said, okay, let's see what we can do. And so they gave us a cabana at the outdoor water park, which would have cost us double the price of the indoor cabana. So they made a mistake and it worked out in our favor and we saved 50%. Okay. Again, these things aren't coincidences. They are happening because of what we're doing, which is falling asleep in the wish fulfilled. All right. You have no idea how many times these things used to go against us. It seemed like all the time this stuff would go against us. Now it's working in our favor because that's who we are. And so when you start doing this, Marley, perfect segue. Okay. 2 days ago, she came home. Her teenagers cleaned the house. She didn't ask them. They just did it because I don't know why. Because she's falling asleep in the wish fulfilled. I do know why. Okay. She's been doing it for now 8 days. And these are the kinds of things that start happening. The next day at work, she's got something due that she knows she has to do. She comes into work. Somebody's already done it for her because they felt like it. Not coincidence. These things will start happening in your life when you start falling asleep in the wish fulfilled. Okay? Something I wanted to talk about just real quick. All right? If you've been watching my videos, consistently, and you've seen mostly all these videos, you have seen a transformation. Okay? There was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, where I had gone from one state of consciousness to another state of consciousness where I was feeling like this overwhelming love. Okay? It started becoming not so much about my journey, but what I could do for everybody else. And so I was just loving, and it was like a soft, like almost like I wanted to cry. And that was kind of short-lived. It was probably a couple of days, maybe a week tops. And then now it has become like an assertive love, okay, where it's like a motivation. And I feel that's who I've always been at my core, is like somebody who motivates, somebody who inspires, somebody when they know the right thing, that's all that matters to them, is helping other people understand what I know and believe and know what I know, because I know how this has changed my life. So I want everyone else to feel this. I don't ever want anyone to feel like I felt on April 3rd. Okay? And that's another thing. Like when you are not practicing this, your whole world could be amazing, but you will not see it. Okay? And that's where I was. And so when you start falling asleep in the wish fulfilled and you're becoming that person, the subconscious will then start to change your perspective. So then you will see everything that has always been there, and that is awesome. And then it will start bringing you more, because it realizes, hey, he's becoming aware of these things. that feel good to me, instead of focusing on the one or two things that aren't going right, I'm focusing on all the things that are going right, and I'm being grateful. Then all of a sudden, what am I doing? I'm falling asleep with that, and I'm impressing the subconscious mind, so the subconscious mind just gives me more of it. All right. Lion's Den, okay, as I just mentioned, Marley, okay, staying non-negotiable, awesome. Brent, staying non-negotiable, staying committed, posting every day, doing the wish fulfilled, 6-minute meditation, doing the 6-minute God, the walking meditation. Brent, again, he's been doing this for 15, 16 nights straight, and he saw a huge manifestation that I've talked about a couple of times, a huge health manifestation, okay? And then you have Kate, who's gradually just adding in things. She's starting to exercise. She's feeling grateful. And there was one other thing that she mentioned, and I forgot about it. I didn't write it down. I will make sure that I mention it in tomorrow's video. And then my wife, Mindy, she's been exercising every day now. She was exercising 4 or 5 days a week. And now she's being grateful every day. And she's falling asleep in the wish fulfilled. And I'm seeing a difference in her. All right. And there's some other manifestations that are happening, like my 17-year-old and my 9-year-old. They were always oil and water. Okay. And just over the past week, they're like practically like best friends. Okay, so there's so many things happening that it's tough to just, talk about every single one. So I'm really just trying to focus on the big stuff. But one more thing I wanted to add, I'm noticing that there's an ebb and flow to all of this. I mentioned it before. Okay, sometimes you'll go through a wave of manifestations, and then you'll go through a wave of glitches, and then you go through a wave of challenges, and that is all part of leveling up, okay? Getting closer and closer to that person that you're acting as if you already are at night in your bed when you go to sleep. All right, so that's it. Day 64 in the books. Happy 4th of July to anyone who's watching in the U.S. I will see you for day 65 tomorrow. Lions Den. Let's go. See you.